Well, hello there. Originally, I had another video planned, but that kind of didn't happen. So here we are, and I realized I'm coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Busy Reading Romantasy. So this episode is going to be a short little ramble of kind of looking back at the past year. And I have a really exciting project that I want to work on going throughout next year, and I need your help. So watch till the end, and please let me know your thoughts. Welcome to Busy Reading Romantasy, a video podcast that discusses books that merge elements of romance and fantasy while occasionally exploring other genres. We get to escape our world and dive deep into themes of good versus evil, power dynamics, and all of the delicious taboo topics. Curiosity and open-mindedness are a must. That being said, this is a podcast for mature audiences only and will contain spoilers. Your mental health matters, so be sure to check the trigger warnings of each book to decide if this is the right episode for you to listen to. Now, let's get into today's episode. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. No joke, that actually used to be my YouTube vlogging intro. I had so much fun making vlogs. Okay. I am so low for today's episode. I have in my head a few things that I'd like to talk about, but nothing formally written down. So what could go wrong? It's been a while since I've done a solo episode, but I figured it was a little bit overdue just because some things might be changing. I am hitting the year mark pretty soon, and it's been such an exciting year. So basically, I would love to just kind of reflect a bit over this past year, and then also just kind of what I'm thinking of for the next year. The coolest thing about doing a solo podcast is that I didn't want to do a solo podcast, so it forced me to get very involved within the book community. I talked to a lot of authors, and also I got to develop a skill that I hadn't really thought much about, which is interviewing. I don't know if there is a like part of me feels like I need to take a course on like how to interview properly. Not that I think I do it bad, but I just wonder if I'm like missing out on certain soft skills to get really good episodes. Um, but I have gotten a lot of feedback. Overall, the majority of authors that I've talked to have reflected that one, I'm very easy to talk to and that I'm fun to talk to. And like basically, check, goal met, because that was kind of my main point. It's very vulnerable putting yourself out there on the internet. It's very vulnerable getting on camera and talking to someone you have literally never talked to before. And so it became very important for me that I made it a very fun experience, as much of a fun experience as it could be for the authors that I was also talking to. And that kind of made things just run smoother as well. It's also been a huge step for me as someone who historically has had a very hard time speaking up. If you don't know, I'm actually pretty big into dance. I'm currently a dance teacher. I danced a lot when I was younger. I used to go to school for the arts for dance. And so it's always been a part of my life because that was how I felt comfortable expressing myself. I always said I did not like the English language. My brain gets a little nervous, and then I can't seem to find the words that I want to use. So this has been a very, very good practice and way for me to force myself to learn how to use my words. And I think it's funny because when I edit the episodes, I obviously notice the things. Like for a while, I would repeat myself twice to just give me a bit of a filler after the author was done talking to lead me into my next question. I'd be like, absolutely, absolutely. Or like, perfect, perfect. Well, you know, I love it. I love it. So, and it's just funny to kind of reflect on those little quirks. I also noticed that a lot of the times when I would ask a question, I would also try to give them examples of answers. And so I really am balancing holding a conversation and also kind of directing it to hit the points that I want to talk about. If you could see the behind the scenes, maybe I'll show it sometime to just show you guys like what I'm looking at when I film an interview, because I generally have like an outline of some talking points or questions or notes or anything I just want to make sure that I mention. But most of the times I'm jumping around that list because obviously when you bring in a just conversation and the author might bring up something and I'm like, oh yeah, so then I'm jumping to this point, but then I want to go back here. And also like the timings vary so widely. I have a lot of authors that are like, apologize for rambling. And I was like, no, please, please ramble. Please give me more content. Otherwise, I get too nervous if it's like getting too short and then I'm trying to kind of like prolong it. So it's kind of interesting the like dynamics of creating episodes. um, so that being said, the general format has kind of been me talking with either an author about a specific book of theirs or me talking with a friend or bookstagrammer, whatever, about a specific book we both read, not me interviewing an author. Obviously, the two different types of episodes I've had. And it's been very fun, and it's also been very challenging to nail down the timing of, okay, I've read a book, let's get you scheduled, let's get the episode going, editing the episode, posting the episode, and like a constant stream of that. And sometimes like schedules wouldn't work out, or sometimes things would take longer. I have about 3 or 4 books that I've read that I'm waiting for other people to read so we can film an episode, and I just kinda get a little more nervous as time goes on that I won't remember. I make crazy ass notes, the craziest notes, and the thing is when I'm reading a book, I'm like, "Yes, this makes perfect sense." Future Callisa reads my notes and is like, "What the fuck did I read?" I have no clue. So that's always an adventure. I don't think that's going to change because it is so inconvenient to be reading a good book and to be like, pause, let me take some notes. I don't I don't like that part of it, but if I don't take notes, I won't remember what happened. So that's kind of even more just like logistics and back end things that I'm trying to like navigate the most efficient system to keep continuously posting. If you've kept up with me, you know I've been a little more irregular over the summer because also life was just like, no, actually, no. You're not gonna have time to read. You're not gonna have time for all of this stuff. So that's been fun. It's been so fun. That being said, I met a lot of really cool authors, and I think connecting to the human behind the book has been one of the most rewarding things that I didn't foresee going into this year. What I mean is when I read a book, fine, you move on with your life. Like that's what it is. So to be able to actually talk to an author and get a deeper sense of what they're going for, things that they had to change, just challenges that they faced, characters that they hold near and dear to their heart, and even why. I've already found myself reading books on a deeper level than I used to ever read them. Not only am I just reading them for enjoyment, but I'm also picking up on deeper themes and just paying attention a little bit more, quite a bit more than what I used to do when I read. So that's been super cool. Just to like name a few, Jenny Grimes comes to mind first because her series Shades of Power, Shades of Fire, and then Shades of Peace is going to come out soon. Um, that seeing why she's done the things she does and the cast of characters she's created, I'm not gonna spoil anything. Obviously, if you've read the book, you can go check out the episodes. You should have already checked out the episodes, actually. But I felt such a more deeper oh my gosh, such a deeper appreciation for characters that had I not talked to her, I probably would have written them off a little bit more and just been like, "Meh, not my cup of tea." And then you talk to the author and I'm like, "Wait, I actually love this. A story about friendship and meeting people where they're at? What?" Um, Rowan Adelaide's another one. Like, every time I talk to her, I feel like we laugh so much. Just the ability to kind of, like, almost self-depreciating humor, it, like, eases the tension immediately, and it just kind of flows really well. Um, Even Carazone and just kind of having those deeper conversations and opening up to the author's experiences in life as well and why they might be writing things the way they are. Like it just lends itself to like so I mean you lend it to anything. You understand it. You just appreciate it better. That's, like, why I have a hard time at art museums, because like, I can look at a painting and be like, "Okay, cool." No, I wanna know the story, okay? I wanna know that the author's left hand got amputated and he had to fight through dysentery to finish this piece. Then I'm like, "Damn, that's cool." So, all that to say, like, I I I would have never foreseen as many authors reaching out to me that did, and I'm so thankful for it because if it wasn't for any of them, this podcast would not have happened. This growth would not have happened to the level that it has. So, just thank you all. I hope you're watching this. Okay, what do I want to talk about next? Okay, so I guess just like looking ahead, that's logically what comes next, Callisa. That being said, like I said, I have a lot of books in the bank. I do have like the next few months roughly scheduled, so I'm charging ahead with that. I'm on top of my schedule a little bit more to get back into the reading. I really would like to do a new project, and this is where you come in. I need your help, like really, really. So, I really enjoy talking about specific books and diving deeper into them. That's not going to change. I'm going to keep doing that. Also, I would like to add topic-based episodes. And what I mean by that is that part of the emphasis of why I've created this podcast is to talk about the things. No. Part of why I've created this episode is to talk about the things that interest me and the things that are taboo, the things that nobody talks about, and the things that I think we should be talking about, okay? I get real passionate, especially when it comes to romantasy, because it is a women dominated like it is predominantly women writing for women, and it drives me bonkers that people just write it off as fairy porn, as smut, as I don't do spice. That's fine, you can have your preferences, I'm not arguing that. I will say, if you're writing off a genre or a book just for sex, intimacy scenes, you miss out on a lot. You really do. There are so many deeper themes to explore: friendships within women, diversity within women, kink for women. And it doesn't have to be for women. I'm not focusing specifically on women. I'm just speaking from what I know and what I pay attention to as a woman. Forgive me. So going back to friendships, diversity, kink, kink education, all those kinds of things. Mental health representation. Oh my goodness. All those things. I want to focus on maybe topic based episodes. So this is where you come in. There's two steps to this. Hold on tight. Thank you. I know I'm asking a lot of you. Number 1, I want to know, what topics do you want to dive into a little bit more? What do you want to hear about? What do you want to learn about? Okay. Uh, they can fall under general umbrellas. So, like, yes, I'm sure you would love to dive into maybe like mental health a little bit more, but it would be helpful if we could get a little bit more specific, right? Complex PTSD, or maybe anxiety representation, OCD representation, all those kinds of things. If it's specifically kink, maybe it's looking at subdom relationships, power play relationships, uh, impact, or even like regression. I know a little bit, and I would like to know a whole lot more. Part of that is on me to educate myself, but I think this is a great platform to facilitate discussions from experts that can help us explore a little bit deeper. So that's part one. I want to know what topics you would like to hear more of. Specifically, I will say through the lens of writing and reading. That is kind of the key thing here, and especially, like, if you could recommend maybe a specific book on the topic. Not no, hang on. Not a book on the topic. I mean, it can be a book on the topic. I'm not going to naysay anything you send or are interested in sending me. I will say, for example, Harley LaRue, the first time I ever read a pegging scene. Uh, and to me as a reader, I am fascinated every time I get to experience something new. I'm like, whoa, okay, let me learn more about this. Not that it has to be that specifically, but you get the idea, okay? Another great thing of reading is it allows us to have so many experiences beyond what we necessarily will experience in our mortal life. Maybe our immortal if we get there, but that's apparently not for everybody. Okay, back on track. Step one, what kind of topics do we want to focus on? Step two, who do we want to hear from? Okay. Um, Again, impossible for me to have discussions from step one if I don't have the expertise from step two. I would love to hear from experts in a wide array of the sense of the word. One being kind of, I think we tend to think of more traditional forms of expertise that have some sort of education, certification, degree around any of these topics. That is absolutely welcome, and I would love that. Also, I'm not going to check your degree. If you're an author that has written a number of books showcasing specific topics, or you just maybe you have experienced certain things yourself, if you think you're qualified to talk about a specific subject, I am all ears as to why and what you could add to the conversation. That's step two. I lied. So there's actually step three, and step three is optional. Again, I'm just asking all the questions because I do have access to a really cool live stream platform service. So technically I could make these like live stream panels. Depending on the interest that I garner for this project, what I'm kind of envisioning is basically specific chats with specific people on specific topics, and then maybe a live stream panel for the umbrella topic, if that makes sense, because then everyone can kind of chime in here and there. And the live stream actually would be fully, what's the word? Fully, when you can get audience participation? What word am I looking for? There would be able to be live audience participation where I could actually pop your comment up onto the stream for like the panelists to talk about. StreamYard has a lot of really cool features actually. So that's another piece. I am all ears. Send me all the information, ideas, thoughts that you have, what you want to see. I am here for you guys, and I want to facilitate these conversations, not only for myself, but I think just education in general and talking about the tough things. I'm going to be honest. I want to successfully facilitate these tough conversations in a way that makes it empowering to ask questions, to inquire further, to not feel embarrassed about talking about such things, because I am human and I feel those things as well. I second guess myself and the questions I ask all the time, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it and creating the safe spaces within which to hold those conversations. Oh, this felt like it's getting a little vulnerable in here. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm not gonna hold you long because I'm just gonna start rambling by myself. But basically, I just wanted to say thank you all for an amazing first year throughout this podcast. And I am very excited to see what a second year ahead holds. If you would like to email me all of your thoughts, if you have lots of thoughts you'd like to share, I'm going to cut up snippets of this video and sprinkle it into my TikTok and Instagram. So you can always comment, you can DM me. But if you really want to make sure that I do see it, email is probably best. Sometimes Instagram and especially TikTok. I'm terrible at messages on TikTok, so don't message me there. But uh, for the best chances of success that I actually will see it, I recommend you email busyreadingromantasy@gmail.com. There'll be a little end screen so you can see it there too. So it should be all good. But yeah, thank you for listening to my ramble and catch you on the flip side.
If you've made it to this point in the episode, thank you so much for watching. I'd be incredibly grateful if you showed some support either by following or subscribing, depending on what platform you're watching on, and leaving a comment. You can always follow me on Instagram at @busyreadingromantasy or on TikTok at busy.reading.romantasy to see what I'm up to. You can also email me at busyreadingromantasy@gmail.com to tell me your thoughts, dreams, secrets, or if you just have any book and author suggestions you'd love me to cover. Grab yourself a good book, get cozy. I'll see you next Wednesday for a new episode.